It's Tech It Out!
On this week's Tech It Out, Mike will give you a quick tour of the new Gmail view.
And Simon's going to show you some new features in Google Docs tables.
Greg will share some tips and tricks for making better Google Slides.
And Geoff will take you on a deeper dive into Apple. Tech It Out!
Gmail has a new look and design to it. You might not have it yet, but if you want it, you can go to your settings cog and select Try out the new Gmail view. If you don't have this option, you're not alone. Simon still doesn't have it, so just sit tight. You'll be asked to reload the page, but when you do, you'll see a slightly tweaked version of what you're used to. Gmail now has a navigation bar that it says will allow you to switch between applications like your Mail, Google Chat, and Meet without switching tabs or opening a new window. It looks slick, but there are some little bits that need a little paying attention to. The first is that when you receive a chat message now, you'll get a little bubble pop up down here on the left-hand corner. If you click on the message, a full screen chat window will pop up. If you don't like that, you can click on the small window icon to open your chat in the pop-up fashion that you're more familiar with. If you don't like the way this looks, don't worry, you can temporarily switch back to the original Gmail view. But just note that change is coming, and that by summer 2022, the default experience for Gmail will be this new look.
I often find using tables quite tricky, and the management of them can get quite frustrating. But Google's added a few new features to make managing them a little bit easier. Here is a table with name and ages of some people, and if I go down, it goes on to a second page. What can be annoying is that name and age is at the top here, but I don't have name and age at the top here, so I know what the columns headings are. Now, there's a quick way of fixing that now. Now, you could have done this in the past, but this is even quicker now. You'll notice here, now that I'm on this row, that I've got this little pin header right here. So I'm coming over, I click on that pin, and if I just click off, you might say, well, what's the difference? Well, if I scroll down, name and age is at the top there as well. Now, to make it even more obvious, I'm just going to select those two cells, and I'm going to come up to the fill, and I'm just going to make it a nice little grey. There it is there, and you'll notice that the column headings on the second page are also grey. Now, another nice feature is if I come here, I've got the little waffles here, I can click and I can drag down, and I can change the location of that row there. I can also, if I want to, come here and add a row automatically to be one below. The same thing with the columns. I can click and rearrange the columns. I'm just going to undo that. I can also add a column automatically to the right, and I can also sort the table. So if I'm over the top of name, I can sort the names. I'm going to sort by ascending, and it's all nicely sorted. So great features here. So on the rows, I can pin, and in this case, if I click on the pin, I'm going to be unpinning it. I can drag rows by the waffle here, and I can add rows by the plus there. Same thing for the columns. I can drag, I can add, and I can also sort. Now, you might be checking to see if you've got these new features. Now, when I'm on this row here, you'll notice that when I go to the left, I don't see anything. And that's because the edge of this column is too close to the edge of the page. So if I just bring this over slightly, maybe a bit more, you'll see that those features appear. So if you want those features to appear, you can't have this edge of the column too close to the edge of your page.
This week I want to share a few tips and tricks to help you save time and make better presentations in Google Slides. Tip number 1, using the Explore tool to find images and make snazzy layouts super fast. So here I have a presentation about Marie Curie, and all I've managed to get in so far is the title. But if I navigate down to the Explore tool in the lower right, I'm going to get a bunch more options to make this slide come to life. When you click on the Explore tool, it'll open up a sidebar, and you can see there's already options for some better looking layouts here, but I want to add a picture to make this slide a little bit more visually interesting. At the top of the sidebar, there's a search tool, so I'm just going to type in Marie Curie and then navigate to the Images tab. The great thing about this is that all these images are rights cleared, so they're ready to use. So I'll just press plus to add this image to my slide, and then it'll appear along with a link to the source. You can copy the link for your source list, or you can remove it to make your slide simpler. And here's where the real magic happens. If you close the Explore sidebar, you'll see that now there's a yellow icon next to Explore, which means that there's some awesome things that Google can do for you. So if I click on it now, you can see there are these really nice layouts that Google has auto-created that I can change my slide to. I like this one, so I'm going to click on it, and now you can see I have a really professional looking first slide that I created in less than a minute with just a few clicks. One thing to keep in mind is that this tool works best with a few simple elements, and it won't work if you have more items on your slide. Tip number 2, using the Shape Crop tool to make your slides more visually appealing. So here I have a slide with some key facts about Marie Curie, and I've found some images to go along with each fact. However, they're all different shapes and sizes, and this slide looks a bit messy. So I'm going to use the Shape Crop tool to turn all of these into circular icons. To do this, select an image and then navigate up to the crop tool, but instead of clicking the main one, press the little triangle next to it and then go to Shapes. I'm going to choose the circle, but as you can see, there are many more options. Now I can resize and place my nice new circular icon where I want it, and I'm going to do the same thing to this radioactive icon over here. This particular tool works the best for square images, so when I get to the Polish flag, I'm going to have to do a couple of extra steps. With a rectangular image like this, first I have to crop it into a square, otherwise my picture will be an oval. So I'm just going to use the crop tool to make it a square, and then I'm going to go to the Mask Image tool and choose the circular shape. Now I have an icon just like my other two. Now I'll just resize it and clean things up a bit, and I'm ready to start looking at my text. Tip 3. Using the Format Painter to quickly create objects with the same style. Finally, I want to make the text on my slide stand out a bit more. So I'm going to give my text box a border, change the background and the color of the text. In real time, that took me about 30 seconds, so I don't want to have to go through that effort for each of my text boxes. Instead, I'm going to use the Format Paint tool to do the work for me. To do this, first select the item that you want to match the style of. Then go to the Format Paint tool, and the cool thing is that if you double click it, it will lock onto that formatting, and any object that you click on will change to the same formatting. Be careful to click on the border of the text box to make sure you change everything inside the item. You can tell you're on the border when you see the arrow cursor instead of the text selection tool. When you're done with the Format Painter, press Escape to get back to your normal cursor. Now it's just a matter of cleaning things up, and this slide is done. Finally, one last bonus tip for when you're ready to present your slideshow. When you enter slideshow mode in Google Slides, there's a really cool feature that I just found out about. If you press the letter L on your keyboard, it'll change your cursor into a virtual laser pointer. So if you want to highlight key information for your students, all you have to do is hover over and circle or underline things you want them to pay extra attention to. And that's it. I hope these tips help you make the most out of Google Slides.
Last week, I gave you a brief introduction on what Apple Clips can do. This week, I'm going to show you how to use it. In this video, I will show you how to make an annotated how-to video using Clips. Once you open Clips, it will take you to the last project that you were working on. You can start a new project by clicking on the squares on the top left corner of the screen, and then clicking the plus to create a new project. Here you can see that there are 3 sources to add media to your project. You can use the camera, the library, or posters. We're going to be using the camera for our introduction. I always like to start by making an introduction. First, I'm going to select the forward-facing camera by clicking here. Then I hold down the pink record button to record my introduction. If you slide the button up, it will keep recording, so you don't have to hold the button down all the time. Once you're finished, let go of the button or click on the square to stop. Mess up? No problem. Tap the clip thumbnail, tap the bin icon, and tap delete clip. Then you can record a new take. Now that you've recorded your first clip, you can start doing some cool stuff with it. Select your clip by tapping on it and this menu appears. We're going to use the effects button to add some, yep, you guessed it, pretty cool effects. Let's add a filter to make my video look like it's a comic book. Then we can add a sticker. I'm going to add a heart because I love this way of doing subtraction. And finally, let's use a label to add a title. With any of these stickers or labels, you can use one finger to move the object around, 2 fingers to rotate them, and the X to delete them. Now that you've created your introduction and added your titles, it's time to add some content. Once again, let's use the button at the top of the screen to switch to the forward-facing camera. Remember, use the pink button to start recording, and you can slide the button up so it keeps recording without you having to hold it. A handy tip is to record for a little longer than you think you'll need. You can always trim a clip later to make it shorter, but you won't always be able to capture that same moment again. While using the camera directly in clips is quick and easy, I prefer to create my content by using the camera app on the iPad and then import it in the clips. This way, I can add special effects and stickers to certain parts of the video and not others. To import a video or an image that you already have, you use the library button. You select your image or video. Then you can use this handy little bar down here to forward to the part of the video that you want to start recording. Just because you've imported some media into your clips video, it doesn't mean it's part of your video yet. You need to record it again in clips. While this might seem a bit counterintuitive, it actually opens up a lot of exciting opportunities for adding annotations or to even zoom in so you can focus on a particular item. Just like with using the camera, once you press the pink button, clips will start recording, but this time it will record what's happening on the iPad screen, not what the camera sees. Once you've finished, you can then click on the clip, go to stickers or special effects, select the sticker and add it to that particular small clip. If you want to see what your clip looks like, all you need to do is to select it and then press the triangular play button to get a preview of your excellent work. By going through this process of taking very small clips and then adding stickers or labels to each of your clips, you can then combine them all together to make a pretty cool animation or how-to video with detailed instructions. As you're recording the video on clips, you can also record your voice to explain what's happening. So now you've got the visuals and the audio. Speaking of recording audio, Clips has this really cool feature called live titles. If you click here, you can then select where you want the live titles to appear. Live titles will turn any spoken words into actual text and add them to your clip. And you can always go back in and edit them if it doesn't understand what you're saying. Now that you've added your visuals and your voiceover, you can add a soundtrack. All you need to do is click on the music icon in the top right hand corner to have a look at all the different soundtracks. Once you've completed your creation, it's then a matter of exporting it. To do this, all you need to do is use the export icon on the bottom right of the screen and save it to your library. This is only a quick example of some of the things that Clips can do. The best thing I recommend is either you, or even better, you and your students, playing with it and seeing what you can come up with. This is my new favourite way to do subtraction. I'm going to show you how to do it on this equation, 314 minus 268. For this, rather than going right to left, we're going to solve it going left to right. Starting on the left, 3 minus 2 equals 1. 1 minus 6 equals negative 5. And 4 minus 8 equals negative 4. Next, we start with 100. Take away 50 from the 10, and finally minus 4 or take away 4 from the 1s. So 100 minus 50 minus 4 gives us our final answer of 46. I believe this is a much better way of teaching subtraction, as it promotes understanding and not just using an algorithm to get to an answer.